I've been walking through the rain, I've been waiting for the rainbow to shine. But I got my head bowed down, so I'm sure not gonna see it this time. You gotta look to the sky if you wanna break free from the dark. Give your spirit a chance to steer clear of all these question marks. But my doubts hang around, and they always seem to get in the way. When I want so badly to trust my fate, to come what may. If I wasn't so big-headed, I could find my way back home. Leave these tears and the fears that have kept me so alone. All it takes is a friend to help you turn it all around. To make some amends and climb back up on solid ground. I've been lost in a tangle of woe, caught up in what it might say. It becomes so hard to trust my fate, come what may. Come what may. Can my heart find the courage in time? Come what may. Will my spirit shine with truth so divine? You think your heart's in a prison, and you think somebody else holds the key. But it's all up to you, and every choice you make can set you free. And those clouds in your head that continue to block out the light, they were put there by you, and you alone can make it right. With friends by your side to help to lift you up every day. Love wins the fight in time to lead to come what may. I've been walking all night through the rain down this country road. I've been waiting for the dawn to shine, to show me which way to go. There was a time not long ago when I'd be sheltered at home. But life has changed and it's strange, but I don't feel that no more. Now I'm anchored to the wind, my friend, in a brand new day. My heart is adrift in a gift, come what may.
Did I hear the bell? It's my cue. Good morning, everyone. For those of you who may be visiting and don't know, I'm Reverend Elaine, and I am the interim minister here at First Parish in Portland, which is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregation, where our mission is to nurture the spirit, grow in community, and help heal the world. If you are visiting, we extend a warm welcome to you. Today is a Sunday where we have actually a conversation out in the parish hall following the service for anyone who would like more information about First Parish or who would like to meet Lori, our membership coordinator. She's behind the doors, but she'll be there. And those of you online, you can reach her at membership@firstparishportland.org if you would like more information about our congregation. Every week, we acknowledge that where this building resides, where we all live, work, play, the entire region that is Portland, is actually very sacred, historic grounds, where generations of members of the Wabanaki Confederacy lived, thrived, and cared for the lands. The Penobscot, the Passamaquoddy, the Maliseet, the Micmac peoples have stewarded this land for generations, and they still do. And so what we acknowledge with this statement every Sunday is that they were mistreated, they were killed, their lands were stolen, and that we were explicit in that treatment of the Native people in this land. And we also acknowledge that an acknowledgement is not enough. So we work very hard with direct action to support the Wabanaki Alliance, to work with them on the things that are important to them, whether it be legislation or workshops or activities or acknowledgements. And I have a very special announcement because of that work. First Parish in Portland was awarded the Bennett Award this year. Some of you may not know, the Bennett Award is given out by the Unitarian Universalist Association. It was started in 1999 by Dr. James R. Bennett to acknowledge and honor any congregation that did exceptional work in terms of social justice. It is accompanied by a $1,000 grant. And so I want to congratulate our Wabanaki Ally team, headed by Carl Capella and Chris Minister and others. Thank you. You have done exemplary work, and I wanted to read these words from Susan Leslie, who's the UUA's Coalition and Partnership with the Side of Love campaign person. She said, First Parish's congregation ministry with the Wabanaki people and several of their community organizations is a powerful example of how UU communities can engage in both the internal and the external work to support Indigenous liberation and sovereignty. The depth of their relationship that is enhanced by honest learning and acknowledgement of historical harms caused by the congregation has contributed to an ongoing truth-telling and healing process that creates an accountable, shared foundation for mutual liberation. In addition, their model of learning and engagement is one that has been shared with their state action network and successfully replicated among other congregations in Maine. Please applaud the example of our Wabanaki Ally team. Thank you. You did a good job. We have several other announcements. First of all, I wanted to let you know that we're discussing plans for summer worship, when the congregation can meet for full worship, if we should meet for full worship. You can look that the numbers are thinning, and what we would do as an alternative for honoring the vision statement of having a year-round church. So we'll be discussing that and the different options at the annual meeting. So I encourage you to attend the annual meeting next Sunday. It's following the service, and encourage anyone you know who's interested in that conversation and that was invested in that vision statement to please come and be part of that conversation. Next week is also flower communion, so remember to bring your flower, single or bouquet, to be shared amongst all the people that attend. And it's also the last week to let us know if you're going to General Assembly in Portland, Oregon, either virtually or in person. You can represent First Parish as a delegate. So let me know if you would like to be a delegate and attend General Assembly this year. Then you can be part of the decision-making for our national movement and represent this congregation. Next week, June 18th, Pride Parade. Tobin will be having a worship service here at 10 o'clock in the morning on the 18th, and he'll be giving you instructions on where to meet and what time if you would like to participate in the Pride Parade, which starts at 1 o'clock on the 18th. So hope we'll be well represented. That will mean that some of us will be in Washington, D.C., marching with the Poor People's Campaign. There's still room to go if you would like to go, and you can also find out how to attend virtually, or you can be here and participate in the local Pride events. All good places to share your UU values. Now, I invite you to enjoy Una Voce and our prelude.
Beauty of your life will shine when your day is done. Let the love I've shared speak for me. Let the love I've shared speak for me. Let the love that I've tried to share and the burdens I've struggled to bear, and all this life of joy and care, speak for me. Let the life I've lived
With chiming voice, a silent breath rests in the pines. It upholds the surface of the lake as if a fragile bubble were in the very hands of God. And I think this is how we are called. To cup our hands and hold this peace, even when the sirens begin, even when sorrow cries out old and gnarled, even when words grow fangs and rend. Cupped hands, gently open, supporting peace, like the golden hollow of a singing bowl, like the tower rim of mountains, cradling the slumbering and mist-draped valley below. This is how we are called. I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and we will sing "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple," number 16. "'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come out where we ought to be. And when we come around to the place just right, we in the valley of and when true simplicity is there, the power to be, we shan't be afraid. Turn will be our delight, and to turn we come round. Angus, you're right there in front. Would you come forward and light the chalice while we read the words, please? Today we light the chalice to affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our ways. That it's part of our faith to know that the truth is always being revealed, waiting to break through to illuminate our minds with new understanding. And that new love is always waiting to break through to warm our hearts. So please hold that in your mind as we share the covenant words together. They're printed in your order of service, and they're on the screens online. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is our prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. That's a great source for our meditation time as well. So I want you to hold that concept of that covenant, the covenantal relationship that we agree to uphold in our relationships, a historic foundation of this church. And when you hold in your heart, love is the doctrine of this church. Also allow into your mind the things about church that make you wring your hands, that wake you up at 3 a.m. Or the person out there that you don't love so much. The quest for truth is our sacrament. Service is our prayer. Let those two conflicting realities in your hearts, in your minds, just stare at each other for a moment. Hand-wringing, judgment, fist raised. Love is the doctrine of this church. Hold that. Feel that tension. Feel the energy it takes in your body to sustain both. to maybe even hold both? Is it possible to hold both? Sit. Breathe. Expand to all the things in our world right now that have us wringing our hands, shouting, shaking our fists. Love is the doctrine of this church. Let the tension exist. Let it inspire wisdom, choices. Be in relationship with all that troubles you, as well as inspires you. And hear these words, touching our strength, from Reverend Dr. Carter Hayward. We touch our strength, our power, who we are in the world, when we are most fully in touch with one another and with the world. There is no doubt in my mind that in so doing, we are participants in the ongoing incarnation, bringing God to life in this world. For God is nothing more than our eternally creative source of relational power. Our common strength is that God whose movement is to empower, bringing us into our own together. A God whose name in history has always been love. So may it be. Amen. And blessed be. Let's remain seated while we sing Spirit of Life. It's number 121. Please join us if you're at home. The reading this morning is a poem called A Poem by Hugh Prather. I must do these things in order to communicate. Become aware of you, discover you, make you aware of me, uncover myself. Be ready to change during our conversation, and be willing to reveal my changes to you. For communication to have meaning, it must have a life. It must transcend you and me and become us. If I truly communicate, I see in you a life that is not me, and I partake of it. You see and partake of me. My life is different from yours. In some small way, we both grow out of our old selves and become something new. To have this kind of sharing, I cannot enter the conversation clutching myself. I must give myself to the relationship, to the conversation, and to be willing to grow into whatever grows out of it. I think I shared that poem with you the last time I did this sermon. How many were last October? Appreciating what is. That's when some of you still remember when I said, do you want to be right or do you want to be in relationship? Yeah, and you've held on to that. Well, this is part 2, because I realize that that whole idea of social constructionism, appreciative inquiry, relational responsibility, it's a difficult concept to wrap yourself around, especially the part about that letting go of those body boundaries that we all have that create us as individuals, and to allow those to be permeable, to allow someone else in. So, right relationship, appreciative inquiry are all part of social construction, which is a social science, which is what I have my PhD in, and it's challenging. Okay, it is challenging. We are very, very comfortable with individualism. We've had it for a really long time. These body clothes that we wear every day that take in information through all our senses, we're pretty used to those. We like, well, some of us don't like everything about them, but we're used to that process of being separate, having distance between our bodies, having an individual conception of what reality is, because we take in all that information through our senses, and then we process it in our own brains, and it spits out like a little ticker tape, our reality. And we're very secure in that. We're so secure that it takes a lot of effort to change that reality. Jake and I were talking about implicit bias this morning. He is now certified as an implicit bias, what is it called? Person, okay. Facilitator. And so we have ways of taking in information and experience that it actually embeds in our bodies, in our cells, in our skin, our muscles. It's very hard to change that. It's how we learn what's right, what's wrong, what's safe, what's unsafe, what we can say, what we can't say, what's true and real, what's not true and real. And it all creates our understanding of reality. So that was what actually motivated this sermon, is because I don't know about if you've noticed in the past few months, we have a lot of different realities floating around out there. And everybody is very, very, very attached to theirs, right? I love Rachel Maddow. She says, there's world 1, and then there's world 2. And our nation, the world, is extremely divided. And I personally believe that that covenant we shared, our principles and purposes, call us to start breaking down those barriers, to be willing to enter into the conversations that we're never going to change everyone's reality, but perhaps we can bridge over the breach, the hatred, the judgment that has become expected when you believe in a different reality. Our principles call us to do that work. The very first principle, we respect the dignity and worth of every human being. There is not an addendum on it, says, depending on who they voted for. It's not there. So we are called to appreciate what is and help it be its very best. Now, I have a very simple example of that concept. Dog waste. I have a dog. I pick up after my dog. I walk out here on the sidewalk, Congress Street, and there are a lot of people who don't. And occasionally they come into contact with my shoes. Anybody else done it? So for years, I would rant and rave and rail about those people who did not pick up after their dogs. Till I got my PhD. Till my daughter called me on it. I used to have the same rant about plastic bags, too, in the grocery store. But I digress. So I had to practice. I'd see that pile, and I'd get like, why don't they just pick it up? And I would bend over, get my own bag, and pick it up. So, yeah, I can do this. Slowly, it has become a practice of appreciating what is. There are always going to be people who either don't have a bag with them or who have no intention of ever picking up the dog poop. You know what? I can't change that. And I expend a lot of energy when I rant and rave and resist. So you know what? I just pick it up. I just pick it up. I had 4 bags coming into the church today that I had to drop in, that I found in Lincoln Park. People also leave their bags. They bag the poop, but then they leave the bag. What is that about? What is that about? Yeah, so yesterday when Gussie and I were walking up on the Eastern Prom, we ran into a woman that we often run into, and she has like 4 dogs with her. And I had 4 bags in my hand, she had 4 bags in her hand, and we looked at each other and we said, daily poop walk. And we just laughed, and she said, yeah, I used to get really upset about it. Now, I just bring a couple extra bags, and I also pick up the trash as well. I said, I could do that. I'm going to start picking up the trash as well as the poop. So we smiled and went on our way. It's not that hard. Appreciate what is. Help it be its very best. The other example I had was when I went to the abortion rights rally that was out a couple of weeks ago in Lincoln Park. And I went and I signed up to be one of those people who has dialogues on abortion rights with people who believe differently. And the whole concept of this training is about being able to be in a conversation with someone who believes very different than you, not to try to change their mind, but to try to understand them, to have them have a place to be heard and respected so that they start weakening their resistance to hearing you. It's that whole idea that Hugh Prather was saying. I need to enter the conversation willing to be changed. I need to reveal myself to you and allow you to reveal yourself to me. There was a couple of interviews on NPR with people who are doing this, and people do actually change their mind. They may not become pro-abortion, but they can appreciate someone's right to choose for themselves. And that's progress. That's progress. So, social construction, relational responsibility, appreciative inquiry and relational responsibility are the 2 tools that constructionists use to promote these relationships and these dialogues that help people to grow in and expand their reality. Social constructionism, it encourages people to develop a new understanding of what comes in through their senses, to maybe just not take that as a given truth, but to open themselves to something different. I think if we think about adolescence, this is a good way to sort of think about how we end up like this. You think of adolescence and the power of peer relationships to influence them. Those of you who have adolescents know that you do not have a lot of power over what's going on in their brains. But peers do. It's that relationship of someone who's like them. And you put 100 10 to 18-year-olds in a room, you'll notice that there's this buzzing energy, and then they slowly gravitate into groups of like. The person with the purple hair finds another person with purple hair. The nose ring maybe goes with the tattoos, and then the taller go with the taller. The ones who want to talk about the game last night go there together, and the ones who are in the band go together, and they start forming these groups based on like experiences and like interests. Okay, and that's how we all start out. We find groups of people who are like us that we're comfortable with. And from that comfort, if we find acceptance there, if we find appreciation there, then we build our self-confidence, which is what happens with our adolescents. And as they grow older and they have that sense of belonging and confidence, which we create for our youth right here, which is important, then they can step out of that familiar and maybe hang out with someone who's different than them. May have the confidence not to be frightened. They have that sense of safety that's internalized so that they can start taking in bigger and bigger differences, different kinds of concepts, expand their reality to be more inclusive, to be more patient, to not be riled by the tensions or the discomfort that comes when you're trying to integrate something new and different. That's the whole foundation of social construction. And as our youth grow, they incorporate all these different conversations and all these different relationships that started out with school and peers and parents and family, and they can start bringing them to wider and wider venues. They can seek zones of discomfort and be engaged there and not be rattled. They get to appreciate that discomfort is something that it's not that I'm in danger, it means that I'm growing. That discomfort and uncertainty becomes something they can welcome. At certain levels, we don't all want to be uncomfortable all the time, but we can take those risks to be in new settings, expose ourselves to new realities, and not feel like we're going to be injured. Henry Wyman was one of the scholars and theologians I used for my research, and he had a concept called creative sparks of creativity. And he wrote many books, The Source of Human Good and lots of others, talking about it's in relationship. It's in that conversation with either someone we agree with or disagree with that a little spark happens. And sometimes that spark is an intimate connection with that person. You get to really like that person becomes a friend. Sometimes it's an idea that neither one of you could have created on your own, that spark of creativity. You find that place of common ground across differences, or you experience something rewarding. So, I like to think of appreciative inquiry, appreciating what is, and helping it be its very best, as inviting those experiences into our lives. And I think where we are in the world today, something has gone very awry with that very natural process of growing and incorporating and expanding our realities. We've gotten very closed. We're very frightened. We do not want to expose ourselves to that person who thinks differently. I don't know if we think it's contagious. The pandemic might have helped with that. But maybe it's the social isolation that we've experienced over the last 2 years that have reinforced those places. It could be very well the Capitol attacks and the insurrection. I mean, we've experienced a lot of frightening things. 3 mass shootings in 3 weeks. 35 dead, 19 of them children. 25 more injured. What will it take for us to open our eyes? That something has to change. And if I, as a person who really wants gun control, cannot make room for that person that doesn't, we are never, ever going to bridge that breach. So, love is the doctrine of the church. Respecting the dignity and worth of every person, That is our call to step out of our comfort zone, to speak with someone who thinks differently than us. My supervisor in my research said, you have to be able to hold on to your own, what you believe, at the same time you make room for the other. Hold on to your own while you make room for the other. It's not an either or, black or white. It's a both and. Can you think about that? Hold on to what you believe and what's important to you, but make room. Make room for that different experience, that different belief, so that maybe that spark of creativity can be ignited. That is a tough call for all of us. Look around, just look around at the pews right now. We can appreciate what is here in our congregation. These pews are not as full as they have been. I know that there are a lot of leadership roles that are empty and people are not feeling the strength, the time, the commitment, the whatever to pick up a responsibility, to engage in re-engaging members of the church or doing what needs to be done here. Rather than ranting or raving or being frustrated, and it's, because you're the ones who are here, right? So rather than looking around and being disappointed or judgmental or wanting to make people come back, get raffle tickets, how do we appreciate what is? How do we help it be its very best? By continuing to show up ourselves, by having conversations with those people that we know are not here, to engage in understanding and appreciation of what can we do to help make it be its very best. And we will do our very best, your staff, the leaders that are here, to keep the church going, vital, financially supported. Until that moment, it's kind of like that song that we sing, we will keep a place for you until you return. So we are keeping a place. It's our role to be open, to allow what is to be and to help it be its very best. Whether it's happening out there or it's happening right here. We do not need a reciprocal expectation on the other side of the conversation. So you do not have to think that the person you're speaking with has the same capacity to appreciate what is and help it be its very best. They might think very differently. You might be in that appreciative moment or that making room by yourself. And that's okay. That's part of the commitment. That's part of the discomfort that we get strong enough to experience. Not everyone is going to want to engage with you. But there will be the one. There will be the one. And that can make all the difference. We have an election coming up. We have a world to help heal. We say we have a community to grow. We have spirits to nurture. Appreciate what is. Help it be its very best. Hold on to your own and make room for the other. We can do that. We can become skilled at listening without rancor, without the need to argue, without the need to change or inform the other person. If I truly communicate, I see in you a life that is not me. That is how we are called. We can grow out of our old selves and become something new. That is how we touch our strength, our power, who we are in this world, then we are participants in ongoing incarnation, bringing that God alive, that God who in history is love. May it be so. In body or spirit, rise, and we will give thanks. It's number 1010. I think the words are in your order of service. Oh, we give thanks. For this special day, for those gathered here and those far away, for the times we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this special day. You can be seated, and before we ask for the offering, I would like to ask Bill to come forward and tell us about the new way that we can offer raffle tickets. Bill, would you come up and share your story, please? I had not forgotten you. So funny story before you start. So the chandelier comes right down in front of the clock, and with my new glasses, it looked like it was already 11. And then when I bend down, I go, oh, it's only 1/4 we got time. So hit it, Bill.
Yeah. This comes out of the category of what she was talking about, that I need to be able to listen to you once in a while instead of you listening to me. I know you all feel the same way about raffle tickets that I do. But I did want to give you a thought that we tried out Friday night when we were outside selling raffle tickets at First Friday. And it was inspired by my dermatologist. And I was visiting there a couple weeks ago, and he said there was a spot on my nose, which now looks like a divot. And he said that he needed to take that off and make a sample of that and check it out. And I said, okay. Right, without blinking, he turned around and put a needle right into my nose right there. And the tears started coming down my eyes. And I looked at him and said, that's going to cost you a raffle ticket. You know? So, but he, you know, he's not one of these people that's into raffle tickets. And he's like, I don't know, I don't want one. So I go, listen, what do you do for fun? And of course, this gentleman owns a rather large boat out in the harbor. And I said, how would you like a $5,000 gift certificate to put gas in that beauty? And he sat there and he said he would do that, and he bought the ticket right away. But my point to you is this. Right now, during these tough times, there's two places that people are feeling the pinch. A lot of places, but two in particular. At the pump, when you're trying to fill your car, and at the grocery store. This year, we were authorized to give gift certificates. I don't know if any of you have been seeing that in our literature, but we were authorized to give gift certificates. Try it. It's something, wouldn't you like to have a $5,000 gift certificate to pay for your gas or pay for groceries this year? It works. We've only got 3 weeks left, so bring it home.
Don't you love that? Appreciating what is, helping it be its very best. We will now receive the offering. When you give of your time, your talents, and your treasure, this congregation thrives. This is a relational place where it is the relationship of you and First Parish that makes it a place of meaning and purpose. All your gifts are welcome. All your gifts are very, very deeply appreciated. I hope that each week you take something from the service home with you, that it ruminates in your mind somewhere. Either you're resisting it or you're working with it or it inspires something. And this week, what I'm going to ask you to do is to take what we've talked about, what I've talked about and you've listened to, let it ruminate, and then next week, come and light a candle for the person or the initiative or the public conversation that you are having the most trouble with. This morning, I lit 2 candles. One for all those people who are so frightened to give up their guns or afraid that losing the right to have a gun will endanger them. I also lit one for all the people who believe that we need laws to stop abortion. I invite you to think of a person, a thing. What is it you wrestle with? What is it you shake your fist at or rant about? And next week, light a candle to appreciate whatever that is. Appreciate it. And then try to figure out how you can help it be its very best. I'm going to close us today with the reading called Invitation to Brave Space, because for me this really encompasses the fact that we've got to be able to be uncomfortable in different spaces. And we aren't going to make safe spaces, but we can create brave space. Together, we can create brave space, because actually there is no such thing as safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars. We have all caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume of the outside world We seek to amplify the voices that fight so hard to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to be more truthful, more loving. We have the right to start somewhere, and from there, continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we already think we know. We will not be perfect. This space will not be perfect, but it will be our brave space together, and we will work together on it, side by side. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. Angus, would you do us honor to extinguish what you lit? Please join together in the unison benediction and extinguishing the chalice words that are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together. And I invite you to enjoy the recorded music. It's one of our favorites. Nice and loud, Zach.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear.
You can sing along, it's in your hymnal. Teal one.
And spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze. When our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way.
You can rise and dance a little.
When we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future